everyone for joining SCORE Maine today. Welcome to our webinar on what do I post on social media? If anyone running a business nowadays has, it's a fact of life now. You have to have a social media presence. We're joined by Alexandra Ulrich, an expert on the topic. And we want to thank our sponsor today, I believe it's the Maine Technology Institute. We are a big fan of them, good friends. And Allie, why don't you take it away?
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and welcome to But What Do I Post? I do have another social media workshop that I do through SCORE that's very much a kind of how do I set up my social media and what are the mechanics of social media? This one is very much just about the content that we put out there. Maybe you have a Facebook account, you have an Instagram account, but you're like, I don't know what to post. Where you're used to posting for you, the person, but you, the business, is a totally different thing. And this workshop is geared to sort of help people figure out what kind of things they could or should be posting on their business social media accounts in very simple terms with lots and lots of examples. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of fun. This is me with a several years old haircut. I am the demand generation manager by day for a local Portland biotech company called Envirologics. But I am also a subject matter expert and workshop presenter of, I think, going on 6 years now. I think it'll be 6 years in February with SCORE. I wasn't sure about these, so ignore these things. Cameras on is fine. Jasper, I'm not sure how you prefer for people to ask questions, whether you would like them to use the Q&A or if they can just unmute.
Yeah, we have, I believe there's a raise hand function that is, I feel, great for queuing up, or you can type your question into the chat and I can butt in with them.
Great,
So yeah,
yeah.
either one of those works great. I think since we've moved our workshops to the more meeting type rather than the webinar, I don't believe we have the Q&A tab currently, but I've been working on getting that sorted.
Sorry, I should have updated this slide before I jumped in.
All good, yeah.
But to Jasper's point, just like if you've got a question, raise your hand, pop it in the chat. You don't have to wait till the end, but I will do my best to leave a few minutes at the end. This workshop, depending on the questions I get, can run a little tight, but I will do my best to get through all of the material. And so we begin. I promise that this is the only graph that you're going to see in this presentation. Well, there might be another graph. I think there's another graph when I click. Nope. All right, so this is a graph that basically just shows, and it's a little out of date. I couldn't find a more recent one, but it basically is just like social media is here to stay. Like what you can see here is starting in 2004, the use of social media has just gone up and up and up. More types of social media are joining the party. Most of those types of social media are sticking around, although we've lost a few over time. What was that Google social platform, Google Plus? Or anyway, but looking at the amount of Facebook users, the amount of YouTube users, the amount of Instagram and TikTok users that are blowing up over time, like social media is a reality of the way that we live, and we're here to live in it. Here we go with 2023. These are a few sort of updated stats. This is a fun thing to look at. You're going to get the presentation and you can dig into these later. Just sort of, again, echoing that social media is not going anywhere. And so as business owners, it's really important both to learn to do business in person, but also to learn to do business in this kind of virtual environment. And here's kind of some call outs that I really like, a couple of statistics that I think will help really sell you on why social media can be so important for business. The first one is 78% of people say a company's social media posts influence their purchases. So that is a huge, that's almost everybody. So the way that people buy, we buy more things online. And even if we buy something in person, we might research it online in advance. And so knowing how many people are looking at social media presences in their sort of purchase buying decisions, I think is really important and is a great sort of, if there's no greater statistic in this presentation to convince you to share your story, It's this. 73% of people are likely to buy from a brand that responds on social media. So the stuff that you put out there to showcase what you do is very, very important. But also, social media is a way to put yourself out into a place where people can interact with you. They can comment on your posts. They can send you private messages. People are spending, like, remember that graph before with the out of this world statistics about how social media is growing. People are disproportionately spending their lives online now. And you can argue whether that's good or bad, but it's true. They're out there and they're doing it. And having a social media presence allows people to interact with you and for you to provide support and to answer questions and grow your brand in real time. Communication is so important. And nowadays, people feel like they have relationships with the companies that they support. And social media is a huge part of why it feels more like a relationship than it used to in the kind of only brick and mortar world that we used to live in. And last but not least, 71% of people are more likely to make a purchase based on social media referrals. So that's not just the people who follow you, who like you already. Those people are like, hey, I had the most amazing sandwich of my life. They post a picture of that sandwich on their Instagram, and then they tag your brand, and then all of their friends see that sandwich and they're like, oh my God, I want that sandwich. And then they go and buy the sandwich, and now they're part of your brand. That sort of ability to share, in the old world, it used to just be like you ran into a friend at the supermarket and you were like, oh my God, I just had the best sandwich. And you're telling one person. But on your Instagram, let's say you have 500 people that follow you, that know you, or that live in the area of the sandwich. When you share that, you're now sharing your love of that sandwich with 500 people instead of just that one person that you run into in the grocery store. And so, social media is an important tool for helping your brand grow rapidly, helping to spread the word, and letting the people who already love your business and your brand spread that word for you. So there's not a ton of statistics in this presentation, I promise. I know I started hard with the graph and some stats, but if you're ever worried that it's not worth it, come back to this slide. There's going to be a lot of food-related and cooking-related analogies and examples here because I am a big food person, but I assure you that what we're going to talk about can apply to literally any business. And so the first thing I like to do with any presentation where we're kind of like learning a new skill is to set the stage. Like, what are the things that you need? What are the things you need for the recipe before you start baking it? And we're going to lay those out first. So the very, very first thing that you need to do before you really dig into posting on social media is to know who your business is. I know I keep saying who as if your business is a person, but the way that we interact socially, in a way, it almost takes on its own persona. And so, kind of knowing who you are as a business. And we talk about sort of the value proposition and the identity when we're sort of speaking about things in formal business terms, but I sort of cook it down to these 5 questions. What do you do and how do you do it? What makes you different? What are your values? What is your history? And what is the personality of your brand? And these are just some questions. There's a lot more you can add to it. But I do think that sometimes when people are starting a new business, they have like, okay, I have an idea for a business, and they immediately go out and create a Facebook and start trying to create content. But there's a lot more thought that needs to go into it in order to do it well. So really, like, make sure that you know who your business is, what you do, and kind of what sets you apart from everybody else who's doing that business. Or maybe there's nobody else who's doing that business, and that's what sets you apart. But really think about who you are before you start posting. The second part is knowing your audience. I like this little sort of illustration here. It talks about 2 different things: demographics and psychographics. And so just like I'm kind of talking about you and your business and your brand as kind of a person, you can also think about your audience, like the sum total of your audience, as a person, or maybe a few different kinds of people. So think about who do you want to come to your business? Who is your business useful for? Who are you trying to court? And imagine that person is one person. And then you can like fill out a little, write it all down like this, like, what age group are they? Are they a specific gender? Are they local? Are they global? Are they East Coast? Like, where do they live? What might they do for a job? How much money might they make? Is this a luxury service? Do they need to have a high income? Or is this a very accessible, low-cost service where anyone can do it? Or maybe it serves a group of people in a certain income bracket. What's their marital status? These are demographics. These are hard, easy to pin down, very specific facts that you might know about a person. Then on the other side, we have psychographics, and these are similar, but they're like squishier, things that are not like, I can say that I'm 47 years old, and that is a demographic data point about me. But I can also say that I like cats, and that's not necessarily something that's as easy to pin down as that. Likes and dislikes, goals, values, what are my challenges? What are my buying habits? Thinking about some of these squishier, less sort of statistical data points is also very important. And these two pieces together will tell you kind of who you're going after, and will help you kind of think about both what kind of content you post, but it will also help you figure out, where do your people go online? Now, this is sort of an older slide, and I will definitely note that probably not all of these statistics are 100% accurate anymore. But I think what this slide is good for, what this slide is best to illustrate, is that every single social media platform out there, and this is only 6. These are like the top 6, but there's plenty more. Obviously, TikTok is a thing that we all think about. These are just kind of 6 of the big ones and the ones that tend to be most relevant for business owners, but they all have different populations, male and female. They have different uses. Like LinkedIn is very business focused, whereas like Pinterest is very shopping focused. X is very opinions focused, whereas Instagram is very like visually focused. So, they all have their kind of lanes, they all have their utilities. But if you don't know this part, like if you don't know who you're trying to reach, you don't know where you're going to land platform wise, because I cannot say enough, and I'll probably say it again before the presentation is over, like, pick a couple, pick one, start with one. If you feel like you're not sure about social media and what you should be doing there, like, learn about your audience, learn about the type of business you have, and then take that information and let it help guide you to choose one platform that's a good fit for you, and start there. You can always add more as you get the hang of it. A lot of times Facebook is a really easy one, because a lot of us use Facebook. You saw Facebook on that first graph is way up here. Pretty much everyone has a Facebook account. It's something you might already know how to use as a person. And so maybe that's a good choice. Or like the kind of thing that you do, maybe it's definitely an Instagram thing, or maybe it's definitely a LinkedIn thing. But take all of that information, the sort of stage setting information, and use it to choose carefully where you're going to start with your business social media stuff. I will say that for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to give a lot of examples. I'm only giving examples from Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I think that most of the advice that I'm giving through those examples is very relevant to every platform, but there definitely are nuances. And I think that, as a business owner who's going to get into social media, it's up to you to go out there, learn those platforms and figure out, and go out and sort of see how people are using them. I will also say that I do really recommend, check out a couple of other businesses that are similar to yours. They don't have to be regional, they could be wherever, but you own a yoga studio, go look at some other yoga studios on Instagram and see how they're using it, and see if that feels like it's a good fit for you. All right, so now we did the stage setting and we're ready to cook. So welcome to Content 101, Lesson 1, Content Types. Things that you could post on on any social media platform are content, and they can be all kinds of stuff. You know, photographs, very popular. Videos, or on Instagram, they call them Reels or TikToks. Blog posts and articles. Some platforms are better for longer form content, like Facebook is better for longer form content. LinkedIn is better for longer form content. But, you know, you can still use longer form content on Instagram. Like, you can't post a link in your Instagram post to your long form content, but Instagram has a little function where people are like, link in bio, and then you can go to the page, click on the bio, and there are different platforms that allow you to like link to different kinds of content that Instagram doesn't support. So if you have a longer form content, just because you have an Instagram doesn't mean that you can't use it. Stories, so those things that, you know, it's like a little highlight reel and then they disappear at the end of the day. Just plain old text, maybe you just have something to say, that's okay too. Shared content from other people, other businesses, and then, like, you know, memes and quotes and fun stuff. And we're gonna go deeper on some of these things, but this is just kind of, content can be anything. I think this is one of the most important lessons in this presentation, for business owners especially, who maybe are tentative about social media. You know, obviously for your business, your goal is to make money. Your goal is to get more customers. And it might feel tempting to get onto social media and just sell, sell, sell. Here's my products. Here's why they're great. We're having a sale. Here's why you should buy them. And I'm going to tell you right now that that is not the way. You will have plenty of opportunities to showcase your products or services, but social media, again, we're sort of thinking about our business and our customers in a more human way. You know, I like to think about social media as a party, and you're trying to meet someone new. And when you're trying to meet someone new, there are different ways that you can kind of charm them. And one of them is to be funny. Like, people love to laugh. Jokes, memes, irreverent pictures, just funny situations. People love a laugh. And maybe there's a way that you can showcase your business, but also have it be funny and have it be light. Finding commonalities. So like, if you meet someone at a party, you're like, oh my God, you grew up in Augusta? I grew up in Augusta. Do you know so-and-so? Was this your 8th grade history teacher too? You know, we love to find things that we have in common with people. And that's the same on the internet. People, if you share things about the history of your business, you as a person, the owner, or your family and the people who are in the family of your business, the people who work for you, share things about pets. People love a shop cat, shop dog. People want to see your pets, things that you're interested in or your hobbies. Like, not everything on your social media has to be just about your business. You as the owner are also your business, and some things like from your personal life or from the peripheries of your business can be relevant content. And so don't necessarily shy away from being a little more personal if you are comfortable with doing that, because finding those shared commonalities with your audience can really spark engagement. A touching moment. I think sometimes as business owners, we really want
Don't
to.
worry, you're not interrupting me at any point in time if you need to.
Oh, I did send you an email.
Perfect.
Sorry, making sure somebody didn't have a question. You know, as business owners, we might want to present, you know, our business as strong and robust and thriving, and not necessarily post about things that are difficult or complicated. But I think that sometimes being a little vulnerable and, you know, talking about some of the things that are hard makes us more relatable as a business who here hasn't struggled before. And, you know, in the right context, used the right way, you know, maybe it's a struggle that you had and you've overcome it and you're really proud of that. Or maybe it's a thing that you're in now that's making your business a little difficult or a little less accessible in the moment, and you're allowing that little bit of vulnerability to be shared. And last but not least, we've got tell a wild story. You know, having, like, there's this one TikTok that I've probably watched 100 times because it's so funny, of a soft serve machine exploding on one of its workers while there's like a customer waiting at the window. And it's just so like hilariously goofy and unexpected. Like sometimes something crazy happens at your business and you just got to tell someone. Your audience wants those stories. This is a story about, this is a dumb story from the time that I used to work at the University of Southern Maine in their marketing department, and I ran their social media for a few years, and sort of finding where content lives. I just went through all of the fun stuff. I'm like, these are the things that people want to interact with: original, personal, funny, warm. All of this stuff, the stuff that makes you make friends at parties, is obviously like the stuff that people get most excited about interacting with. But over here we have the boring stuff. Like, you're still a business. You still need to give people information. Sometimes your store is closed unexpectedly. Sometimes you have a sale. Sometimes you do want to talk about your product or something that's like maybe a little dry. And so finding balance in your content is about taking the boring stuff and kind of finding a way to make it a little bit more fun, to make it a little bit more eye-catching for your audience. And here we have this husky puppy, this grumpy looking husky puppy with his fat little paws. And I posted him here because when I was at USM, the USM school mascot is the husky. And we would very frequently on Fridays have this like boring content. We needed to tell people about events that were happening over the weekend, or maybe like the parking lot is closed, or, you know, we had a lot of more like informational, factual stuff to showcase on Friday, letting people know what the expectations were over the weekend when the social media team was not working. And what we did was Husky Puppy Friday. And so we would take whatever it was that we needed to talk about that was boring on Friday and find a husky puppy that maybe was relevant to that, like a little piece of that content. And people would love the husky puppies, so they'd stop on the husky puppies and then they would end up reading the post. And so finding a way to take something informational and spicing it up a little, slapping a husky puppy on it, sometimes it's as simple as that, of finding the balance between those two worlds. But if you're just constantly posting sort of boring like sale related stuff or factual related stuff, and you're using your social media as almost like a bulletin service, like, you'll find that people will engage with you less. So here we have our very first example. This is from the Martins YouTube channel. Love me some Martins. You can tell that I'm a born and bred Mainer. Love me some Martins. The first thing that I love about this video is that this is just a Martins employee. You're showcasing the people, the real people of your business. The second thing that I like about it is that this is a tutorial video about reupholstering dining chairs, but the whole thing is that Martins has this massive fabric section. Like, when I meet people, I'm like an evangelist for the Martins fabric section because I sew, but like, they have this incredible fabric section, and this is a way for them to showcase that while teaching you something useful. This is like the least exciting headline you can think of: how to reupholster dining chairs tutorial. This is not a sexy headline. It's not clever. It's not funny. It's very simple and straightforward. But with a video on YouTube, the magic of using your title to help people find the thing. I guarantee every day people go to reupholster chairs on YouTube because they want to see a video of that. Because they use such simple, clear keywords in their headline, more people are going to be able to find this because it's showcased itself as a video on how to reupholster chairs. There are lots of different ways to do YouTube, but for something like a tutorial or informational video like this, being as clear as possible with your keywords in your headline is really going to help out. Now, Martins doesn't have a ton of subscribers to their channel. I hope they have more than 71. This is a little bit of an older post, but they had 1,000 views on this video, probably just because there's people out there who want to learn how to reupholster dining chairs, and those people found this video and watched it. They also learned about Martins. And so, or like maybe they live in Maine and they know about Martins, but then they find out that Martins has a fabric section, which maybe they didn't know before. So love this YouTube video for that reason. It's not a glamorous video. But there's lots of great stuff going on that's great for the brand. This next one is a Instagram post from a business in Portland called La Bodega Latina. It's exactly what it says. It's a Latin bodega. And one of the things that's interesting about this business is that sometimes they have special, like, you know, Latin American kind of regional ingredients that maybe are not available at the grocery store. This is one of them. Nopal, which is a cactus that you can eat. And it's, again, these are not glamorous photos. And we'll talk a little bit more about kind of the desire for things to look perfect. But like, this is just a photo of these cacti in a bag. Not glamorous, but it's interesting. You don't see cactus around the grocery store or something that you can buy. A lot of people might not be aware that you can eat them. Short and sweet caption, available cactus. Good mix of hashtags, and we'll talk a little bit more about hashtags in a minute. But again, like, these are ways to help more people find you. And lots of love in the comments. Like, people who understand and know this ingredient, who follow this business, were excited to see it there and probably went to go get it when they saw it online. And especially if you have a very regional business, like, you know, like a bodega, like if you have a brick and mortar store in a specific place, showcasing a thing that you have that's interesting, just really simply, people will follow you, they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, damn, I need to go to the bodega and pick up some nopal. I will say that another business that I also really like, who does this really effectively, is the Norimoto Bakery in Portland. It's a sort of like somewhere between a Japanese and a French bakery, but their pictures are ugly. Like, they're not gorgeous, perfectly curated, perfectly filtered Instagram pictures. They're just like regular everyday phone pictures of like beautiful, exciting food with interesting ingredients. And they do it really simply, but that's all they need to do. And so if you think about social media and you feel overwhelmed that it has to be perfect and that you need a great camera and you need great lighting, you don't. Just showcase the things about your business that are interesting and different. This is another important slide within this presentation that might be a good one to sort of like print out and keep somewhere. This is literally just a cheat sheet list of different kinds of stuff you can post to social media. Like, if you don't know what to post, come back to this list and be like, oh, I can do this. Very, very quickly gonna go through these product shots, like things that you make and things that you sell. If you sell a physical product, throw in a nice product shot up there that makes your product look nice or interesting, like we just showed with the nopal, or I talked about with Norimoto. Show what you sell. Beautiful plates. If you run a food-based business, you know, and you have like, or like say you have a restaurant, like a very appetizing looking plate of food. People love to eat, people love to look at food. We love a plate. We also love people. We love to see faces, and making sure that if you look at your Instagram feed, that there's some faces in it, whether it's your face or the face of the people who work in your business or the face of the people who are in the history of your business, or maybe it's your customers. It doesn't really matter, but people like to see faces. So avoid the desire to make your Instagram or your Facebook just perfect curated photos of products. Let the people shine. Behind the scenes, you know, if you make a thing or if something interesting happens in your business that maybe the people who use it don't get to see, show them what happens behind the curtain. They want to know. Similarly, kind of how it's made. Maybe you show your finished product a lot, but like showing yourself making the thing is a little bit of cool movie magic that's really easy to capture if you're making a thing every day and that people are genuinely interested in seeing. Again, with the food-based businesses, I do have a one-track mind. Recipes. You know, if you have a farm and you grow certain ingredients, not just showcasing the ingredients that you grow, but showcasing how people can use them is fantastic. People are always looking at recipes. I will say that I save a minimum of 3 recipes on Instagram every single day. Memes and funny stuff. Again, like goofy, funny stuff. I think that if you're not familiar with memes and how they work, it's there is a little bit of like an understanding that you have to have, but it's basically like taking a thing from popular culture and using it as kind of the punchline in a joke about something that's relevant to your business. But yeah, again, people like to laugh. They like comics, they like memes, they like jokes, they like funny pictures. Be funny. People love it. Holidays are an easy slam dunk. Like just taking a moment to wish people a happy holiday, whatever it is, showing, making that holiday relevant to your business. I think that Labor Day is a really great one for business owners because it gives you the opportunity to say thank you to the people who work in your business, and maybe the other businesses that support the business that very frequently do businesses operate in a silo. There are frequently other vendors and other businesses and other support systems outside of that. Thanking the people who work for us is a really easy thing to do on a holiday. And so looking through whether it's classic, bank holiday days off, or maybe it's some of these like National Donut Day or some of these kind of like goofy fake holidays, like taking those moments to just like celebrate an aspect of your business online, very easy to do. And again, it's a thing you can put out there. Dance and performance. If you have a performance related business, showing snippets from those performances, always a crowd pleaser. Ride-alongs, like let's say you deliver something as part of your job, having a little GoPro along with you to film yourself as you're going on your route to deliver whatever you're delivering, or like you're going to another vendor to pick out something that you need for your business. Like say you make jewelry and you're like, we're going to the bead store, come along with us. People love to go with you on the things that you do to make your business go. Quotes, famous quotes that are relevant to your business or what's happening with you right now. Be really careful. There are a lot of misattributed quotes, like, no, Marilyn Monroe did not say that. So definitely make sure that you're quoting something that's relevant and real, but quotes, hot topics. Obviously, we're in an election year. This can get a little bit dicey if we go too hot. But if there's, I just remember that the Hillary Clinton Pokemon go to the polls moment, which we all still cringe about, but like taking a moment that's happening in popular culture and making that relevant. Like this year, election wise, there's the Charlie XCX Brat album. You've probably heard people say something about it. And then Kamala is Brat, and she has like Brat related signs. I'm sure this is not necessarily relevant to everyone here, but like we can pick and choose moments from popular culture and make them relevant to us. Again, animals. We love animals. Baby goats all day long. If you have animals in your life, in your business, show them off. History. Tell me about your business. Tell me about the history of your business. Celebrities is a fun one. Sometimes you may, and when I say celebrities, I mean, if Julia Roberts comes into your business, amazing, get a picture with her. But also like, local newscasters or radio personalities, maybe local elected officials come into your business, like give them a shout out as well. Unboxings, like, do you make a product that comes in a box? Or do you get something in a box that comes to you that you use to do the thing that you do? Like, maybe you have a service business of some kind, but you use a specific tool and you just got a new one. You can show yourself opening your brand new tool in a video, again, unglamorous, unedited, just you opening the box and seeing what's in there and talking about it while you're doing it. I know it sounds kind of stupid if you're not familiar with these kinds of videos, but people love them. Values and culture, thinking about what's important to you, what embodies the spirit and the values of your business. Speaking earnestly to those things can be very moving. And of course, customer feedback. Does somebody say something great about your business? You can share that. Or what if somebody says something hard about your business? You can turn that around. Like if somebody says something maybe critical of your business, maybe you can find a way to respond to that in a way that is self-aware and kind, but that addresses the issue. And I think that being able to take those moments of feedback and turn them into content is something that we don't do enough as social media users. All right, now we're back to some fun examples. This is a product-focused shot from one of my favorite stores in Portland, Portland Trading Co. It is like a lifestyle and clothing store, and they make a lot of their own designs, and this is one of those designs. And it's really just a simple, well-lit picture of the product. And if you're showing pictures of your products, again, they don't need to be professionally shot, but make them clear. I like that this is a multi-image slideshow so that you get, I can't click through it because this is a screen cap, but like if you were to go find this post on the Portland Trading Co. website or Portland Trading Co. Instagram, you could scroll through and see different views of the garment that they're selling. I like that they're a little topical here. This is from the winter time, and they mentioned that there's a snowstorm coming. And of course, here's a picture of a jacket that perhaps you could wear during a snowstorm. They've got good hashtags, and instead of just putting them in a cloud at the bottom, like a lot of people do, they worked them throughout their narrative, which I think is a clever and interesting way to do hashtags. My favorite part of this was that the last slide was actually a video. And so like, if you sell, this is actually very, very specific to clothing, you know, that first shot that we saw is a great detail that shows the craftsmanship, shows the material, and that's important too. But a video of somebody wearing the garment, like seeing it on a body, is, for people who have fashion related businesses, is so key, because you can't really tell what something looks like pinned to a mannequin, but you can put it on a body and see how it looks. It actually really helps if you are, this is Kazim, he owns the business and is literally one of the coolest people in Portland. Everything looks amazing on him. So you see the garment on a body looking incredibly cool, suddenly you have to have this jacket, and that is how it works. This next one is about values. Again, this is a little bit of an older post. This is the Sun Oriental Market, it's a Facebook post. And during COVID, there was a lot of like hate and hate crimes happening for people of Asian descent. And what happened here was that one of their customers left them some flowers and a nice note that's just like, hey, you know, we support you. And they took, again, unglamorous photos and told this basic story. It's a, you know, it's an important topic. It's a hot button topic. And they really came to it as hopeful and grateful and focused on their community. And I thought that was a really beautiful way for them to play this moment. Like, this is a really hard time. They had the right to be angry. They had the right to be scared. And they made it into a seed of hope. And I thought that was really beautiful. Again, they used photos to tell the story. People love to look at photos. And, you know, their usual posts get 25 to 50 likes, which is nothing shabby for a local business, but this one got 125 and probably has more since then. But like, the touching aspect of that and sharing their story was really meaningful to a lot of people. This is that one that I was referring to earlier about how perfection is overrated. This is very important, especially for Instagram and Pinterest users. Don't get too wrapped around the axle about making everything look super perfect all the time, or like your grid. Professional photography is fantastic, and if you can afford it, especially if you have a website, getting good product photography, important. But if you don't have that and you don't have money for a professional photographer right now, don't worry about it. The reality is that some of this Instagram culture is actually kind of coming back on itself, where it's like everything was so perfect for so long and everything was so curated for so long that now people want to see things that are real. People want to see things that are not filtered. People want to see, you know, wrinkles and bad days, and that imperfection is actually more compelling than the really like perfectly slick curated stuff. Not all news has to be good news. Sometimes something bad happens, and being honest about that and sharing that can be really compelling. And this one just says that your voice is the only voice you need. Your voice, the appropriate voice that you decide is the right voice for your business, like that's you. And you don't have to try to be someone else just because some other yoga studio does things a different way. Like, you get to be you, and being original and being yourself and not exactly like all the other ones that are doing the same thing is the best way to be. And I think you'll find that you have better luck if you are authentic to yourself. I will also say that Canva, this is a shout out to an app you can get for your phone or your computer. There is a free version. They have a relatively low cost pro version that does more. It's basically has some very basic templates so that if you want to add text on top of your photos, if you want to add a little frame or something, add a little graphic, Canva's a really great, inexpensive, and easy to use tool that will help you do that. And speaking of Canva, cover slide made in Canva. There's a video, but it's like this little slide tells you what the video is about. It's a nice professional little graphic, definitely made in Canva, probably took her 5 minutes to do. I do love that it says with blooper, because that makes you want to watch the video to see what goes wrong. And that both sort of showcases like the value of having a nice eye-catching Canva slide every now and again, but also that willingness to sort of showcase what's imperfect. So here's Julie. She has this video, again, not super edited, not super filtered. It's just her hanging out, talking in a fun, friendly, and conversational voice. It's a useful video, and it's done in an informal, engaging way. And again, with the blooper, like a little bit of humor. It's just her talking through this particular skill. She does emotional regulation videos for children. And so like it's useful, but it's not boring. And I also love that, you know, she has subtitles. There's lots of different ways to put subtitles on your videos, and I'm not going to explain the details of that. You can Google subtitles Instagram or subtitles YouTube to make sure that you can do that. But I think anytime you're posting video content, if you can add subtitles to it, it allows more people to access it. And here we have customer service. Again, more ugly photos. This is from Smiling Hill Farm. There was a period of time, I'm pleased to say that since this post, coffee milk has come back, but there was a period of time where the coffee syrup vendor that they were using went away, and people were really upset that the coffee milk went away. But so this is a time where they took bad customer feedback. People are mad, where is my coffee milk? And they were like, hey, here's where your coffee milk is. They addressed the customer concern honestly and directly. They put a really positive customer first spin on it. They're like, hey, I know you love coffee milk. We love coffee milk. We want to bring it back, but we don't want to bring it back if it's not as good as the last one. And they show here them trying all of these different coffee syrups to try to get their coffee milk just right. Again, ugly picture, but it tells the story. Doesn't need to be more. 608 people liked this message, and there is not, even though this is like coffee milk isn't back yet, which is bad news, they spun it so perfectly that there is not a single angry face in all of their, you know, their likes and thumbs up on Facebook, which honestly is very hard to do. So huge props to Smiling Hill Farm and their coffee milk debacle, now over. All right, so we are building engagement here. So yes, we want to put good content that's relevant to our business and that's interesting to people out on the internet, and we want them to engage with it. And there's some, I know how is it already 12:44? I'm going to have to spin through this a little fast, but I will say that when you get this presentation, these slides are very explainy. And so you should be able to go back to them if you need to and understand what we're going to talk about. So basically, there's different levels of engagement. So you're creating a piece of content and you want it to be good. And the way that you're going to measure the goodness of it is how many people see or interact with it. And there's levels. So the word reach just says how many people saw your post. And if you have a business account, and anytime you're doing business on social media, you should have a business page. And they are very different than personal pages. They have different functions, they have different abilities. So do not make a personal page for your business. Use a business page, because with that comes analytics. It tells you things like how many people saw your post. You can boost this with money if you want to, but good engagement also will improve your reach. Likes. People saw your post and thought it was good. Quality content. on a regular schedule. Get those likes, start racking them up. Comments. People saw your post and had something to say about it. For better or worse, if people are commenting on your post, that means that it's working. Theoretically, it would be better if those comments were positive or inquisitive. But sometimes even people having controversial opinions about what you post helps with that engagement, because people who disagree with those people will come into the comments and they'll defend you. And so not everything has to be yay, rah, rah, positive all the time, and it can still be beneficial. And last but not least, shares. These are the gold standard of engagement. People saw your post and thought it was so good or so compelling that they had to share it with their friends. Like something amazing that you shared, you posted, gets shared a bunch of times. Like, that's amazing. There is a dark side of this where you could post something that people find controversial or embarrassing, and then they share it as well. You're still getting some action from it, and you'll have to decide whether or not that's good or bad. But sharing is generally a very good thing with your content and a good sign that you're doing it right. And then here is the hashtag and @mentions section. And this is, I'll do a short job explaining this. So hashtags, the pound sign, what I used to call it when I was a child, before the internet, the pound sign in front of a word, I say, takes a good post and makes it better. These are ways to expand your reach and get people to see your content who might not otherwise see it. Basically, if you say you post a picture of a llama from your llama farm and you hashtag it llamas of Instagram, the people who follow you will see that post, but anybody who follows the hashtag llamas of Instagram might see that post. People can click on that hashtag and go look and see all the llamas of Instagram. Maybe you just want to see a bunch of llamas that day. Your llama could be one of them. And if they really love your llama, maybe they'll follow your page. So it's basically just like a way to open the door for people outside of who follow you to see your content. I will say, do your research. Instagram, I think, has the best functionality with hashtags, although currently all of the social media platforms have them. There's like, if you search the hashtag like pound llamas of Instagram in, or maybe like pound llamas, Instagram will show you all the llama related hashtags and how many people are using them. You want to use hashtags that more people are using, but maybe not so many people are using them that you get lost in the shuffle. But there's a little bit of a balance there. I will say, don't go crazy. Sometimes you see people with like 500 hashtags and it's just kind of eye-rolly and annoying. Use a few that are relevant to you, and never, ever, 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 ever use a hashtag that is not relevant to your content. You'll find people hashtagging, oh man, I clicked on the back to school hashtag and there were some really inappropriate things in that stream. Like, it's very, very bad form. You might get reported for tagging your content with the tag that is not relevant to you. And then there's the @ symbol. That's when you're tagging a person. So like, let's say you had some professional photos taken and you put them on your Instagram. Give that, give that person who took those photos a shout out. Businesses supporting other businesses, especially on social media, very, very good form. And let's say you mentioned that photographer on your post. There's a good chance that that photographer might maybe put your post in their story, like, took some really great photos for XYZ business, really proud of the work I did. So it's the tagging of people, reminds them that they had that interaction with you, and also gives them credit for the work that they did, and also gives them the opportunity to share that content with their followers. So these are both ways that you hashtags and I call them @mentions are great ways, again, to sort of help improve the reach of your content and help to build relationships with other content creators. Again, never tag a person in your post who wasn't involved in the content. And sometimes if it's a person, maybe it's a customer, I wouldn't tag a customer without talking to them about it first. In general, when you're at mentioning a human rather than a business, you want to get their permission before you associate them with your content. And again, here, let's see how we're doing on time. I'm going to zoom through these next couple examples. This is one of my favorite restaurants in Portland. Note that they tag the photographer. I do like that they posted a fun message in Spanish. If you, if English is not your first language, or the business is like regional from another country, then showcasing that culture, showcasing that language on your social media, I think is really fun and helps other people better understand your business. Includes business hours, love it. Credits the photographer. This is a beautiful professional photo. They said who took it. Here's my llamas of Instagram. We love them. Oh, I guess these are alpacas, which are slightly different. Fantastic video, not sexy, not well lit, but alpacas are frolicking in the snow and people love it. I know I did. I love that they introduced their alpacas by name. Also, there's an alpaca named Jackpot, which I really love. Great use of popular hashtags. They just have a few. You know, they've got Maine in here. They've got alpacas of Instagram and alpaca love in there so that anybody who's interested in alpacas will be able to find them. I do also love here that this business responds to every comment that they get, which is really great form. It's that interaction, that communication that I talked about in the beginning. I'm going to skip this one. We're going fast and furious. Again, you will get all of these examples. I just want to make sure that there's time for questions. And I think the last thing that I want to hit on here is sort of the idea of going viral. It's the gold standard of good content, is that ability to go viral, which means that the post is so popular that it leaves the sort of region that it belongs in. Like, you know, you have a downtown Portland business and most of your engagement comes from that world. But when you go viral, you could end up on the news. You could be on Good Morning America tomorrow. You could be on the front page of big, like Reddit, like big websites that consolidate popular content. This is one of my favorite Instagram posts of all time. Dunkin' Donuts, somebody put up this ridiculous sign at one point for just like a few days, and someone local took a picture of it and posted it on Instagram, and it's so weird and it's so funny that it started to get shared and shared and shared until I think it was on the national news. But what makes posts go viral? Like, this is not a recipe that you can make in your kitchen. There's nothing that you can do as a person to guarantee that your content is gonna go viral. Like, but I will say that what makes viral content is things that are new, something you're like, wow, I've never seen that before, something that's surprising or exciting or scary, funny or clever, nostalgic and emotional. Like, I love those videos of those old like 80s workout tapes because they're so goofy and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe we thought this was serious in 1982. Or things that are really emotional. And a lot of times it's like kind of a cocktail of a bunch of these things, but basically it's something that like surprises or moves you so much that your brain creates significant dopamine. And when we have those moments online, we just want to tell all of our friends. I am going to sort of pause here for questions because I know we're close to the end. We may end up coming to some of these points in those questions, but there's just a couple slides here that talk about some of the difficulties of creating content. And again, these are kind of explainy, text-rich slides, so you should be able to go back to them. It talks about engagement, it talks about online drama and when things get hard, and just kind of the difficulties around, you know, time management with content creation and some resources that you can use. But I think questions are more important if there are any, Jasper.
We've got a couple queued up in the chat, and as we get rolling into the Q&A section here, you guys feel free, like we said earlier, either raise your hand or put it in the chat and I'll read it for you. Why don't we start with Alan? Alan is the founder of a leadership coaching business, and he's looking to attract potential customers in a highly specific niche, where he's targeting them based on information they may not share readily, their desire to change their job or even pivot completely in their career, for example. Any thoughts on that?
I feel like for you and for a lot of like service, especially sort of like coaching related businesses, I definitely think, LinkedIn is going to be a great platform for you. But as far as the kind of content, I think that maybe like for things that are sort of personal development related, webinars, workshops, or like maybe a free consultation. Like if you offer a service where you help people, like, are you thinking about changing careers, but not sure what direction to, schedule a 15-minute consult with me and, let's get you started. I think everybody, most people understand that a 15-minute consult is the beginning of a potential business relationship, but it gives them a chance to like meet you and you to meet them and decide if it's almost like a speed dating, like if it's a match. Again, you're investing your time in potentially giving away these free 15-minute half an hour consults, but I do think that like maybe, or like an infographic, like a flow chart about if you need a new job, like posting that kind of like functional useful content or the offer of a webinar or consultation so that people have a way to kind of dip their toe into whether or not they want to work with you can be really useful for a business like yours.
Absolutely. Excuse me. We have Wesla wondering, how can you be careful with the ownership of images? For example, earlier you said Husky Puppy Fridays. If you're looking for like royalty-free images, what do you recommend?
For completely safe and royalty-free images, there are lots of services like, you can buy stock photos from Adobe or iStock Photo or Shutterstock. You can also, there are like Pexels, Pexels, and Pixabay, Pixabay, are two free photo services that are pretty well vetted. So you can use photos from there. The internet is a little bit loosey-goosey. Like you can't use a picture from the internet on your marketing materials. Like you can't make a brochure with a photo you just stole off Google, but you can kind of post memes or images from popular culture and the world and write commentary about them. Like you can't show that, like you can't use a picture of a celebrity and then say that they endorse you specifically, but for the most part on social media, people are not paying as much attention unless you're starting to sort of create a narrative that they support you. Like my friend Emily just wrote a book that got published nationally, The Moorings of Mackerel Sky. Go read it, it's amazing. But she's been doing these funny photoshops of like celebrities reading books and movies and just like photoshopping her book on top of that book. It's derivative, but it's in play. When you're printing something, when you're saying that someone endorses you, when you're putting stuff on your website, that's where you have to be careful with ownership of photos. On social media, it's a little squidgier. But if you're making your own content, that's the best thing to do. But sometimes you want to like use a funny picture from a movie to make a joke about something that's happening in your business, and that's totally fine.
Nice. Yeah, but your own content when applicable is always best is what I
Always
gather.
best. Get
Yeah.
your phone out there,
Uh,
start taking pictures.
oh yeah. Stephen Long is wondering what's the best way to include links on Instagram? I know you can't really include them in like the bodies of posts.
No, and so what a lot of people do, there's two ways to do it. The first way, the way that everybody does it is they say when they're talking about something that is like exterior content that they want to link to, they'll say link in bio, and that can mean two things. Thing number one is you have a place in your bio on Instagram where you can put a link, a single link. You can make that single link the link to whatever it is that you're referencing in that post, and you can change that link over time as you create new content, or as the old content expires out. And plenty of people do that. It's the simplest way. The other way is to create a link to a website. There are a lot of services, and I cannot, like, I think one is Like to Know It. There are a couple of, like, there's different services that literally make little websites, like micro websites, for links in Instagram. So like you link out to that one website, and that one page has links to like your website, the article that you wrote about, whatever, and you can put all of the different links. Let's say a lot of people who do resale of like vintage stuff will put their, like, here's my Poshmark and here's my Facebook, and, you know, put links to your other social media. So like one of those Instagram kind of link consolidation mini websites is also a way to get sort of more bang for your buck with the one link that you get on Instagram. But it's always like, if you want them to go to that link to find whatever you're talking about, just write link in bio. We know.
Yeah. So he's saying there is. How can you leave a URL if you post online and say click the link in our bio, but there's no link? He's saying that doesn't work. I believe that, you know, it's, since you're not allowed to put I mean, you can put a URL in a post, but it doesn't become a link. You, like you said, you have to go into your account settings for that, I believe.
Yeah, like the part where you write, you know, there's X amount of characters, like 150 characters that you can put in your bio on LinkedIn, your About Me section in your LinkedIn. And there is there is a link area where you can put your website, but people have learned to be sneaky about it. I will say that a third option that I don't love, but is possible, is to use what I would call a vanity URL. Basically, you can create, if you have a WordPress website, I'm sure they have them also for Squarespace and Wix and other types, but like your website may have a function where you can create what's called a redirect. So for example, Envirologics, where I work, envirologics.com/apply takes you to the careers page on our website. And it's just a shorthand way to get someone to a page. So if you can create a very short, easy to remember URL that's like your website / one short word, you can put that in the post itself, and then people will fairly easily be able to tap that in to their phone or to their computer, but it's not ideal.
Yeah. One last one from Karen here. What are the benefits of hiring someone to do your social media?
Well, there are pros and cons. The pros obviously are, as a small business owner, you are kind of frequently a one or a few person, a small band doing all of the work, all of the bookkeeping, all of the actual labor, all of the legal stuff, all of the things. So having hiring a person to do your social media can take that thing off your plate, especially if it's a thing that's not intuitive to you. Not everyone loves social media for themselves. And if you don't find any enjoyment in it, or maybe you don't feel like you understand it well enough, then you're going to struggle with this part. And I do think that everyone can learn to create good content, but hiring someone who knows already how to create good content and enjoys doing it and is having fun with it and is maybe thinking of things that you're not thinking of is fantastic. The real downside is the money. Like, as a small business owner, obviously costs are important, and you have to really make sure that if you're hiring a person to do your social media for you, which is an amazing luxury that many people can't afford, make sure that you're getting the ROI for it. Just because it's so-and-so's job now doesn't mean that you don't have to check in and pay attention to what they're doing, see how the posts are performing, work with them to see if there are things that you can do to make the posts better, or to improve engagement. If you're paying a person, you want to make sure that you're getting the most for your money. And so making sure that your content is performing well and is representing your business the way you want to, like, you still have to pay attention to that. But yeah, no, it's if you can pay someone, it's great. Although I will say, for the DIY spirit, taking a period of time where you play around with it and do some research and try some posts on your own, I think is an important skill. Like, you may not love it. It may never be the thing that moves you. You may not be as good at it as the person that you hire, but it will give you a deeper understanding of how it works and the mechanics of it, which will make you a better supervisor for the person who is running your social media. So I really just, I think today you've come to this webinar is a great first step.
Absolutely. And we're very appreciative of everyone who's attended today.
Yes.
If there's any other questions before we wrap up, everyone? Some great ones so far. But hey, it's looking like that's all for today. Alan says thank you, and says that question earlier, LinkedIn is his primary platform, so he's glad to be on track. And we want to thank you for attending, and I want to thank, if everyone isn't already familiar with us at SCORE, we're a free business mentoring program. We're a partner of the SBA. And if you don't already have a SCORE mentor, you can get one for free at score.org. It's free, confidential, and here for any part of the life of your business. I want to thank Ali again for putting on an amazing presentation. Always an important topic for everyone to have in mind for their business. And one more time, thank our sponsor, the Maine Technology Institute, for this presentation. Thanks again. Everyone have a good day.